What's indeed going on, Jeromes? It's a beautiful Saturday morning. The Vikings tomorrow night, Sunday, going to kick the absolute tar out of the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers on New Year's Eve. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be glorious. But there's a lot of questions for the Vikings the rest of the way. 2 regular season games and playoffs. So here are 10 burning questions for the Vikings. I'm burning for you. First up, number 1. What is Jaren Hall? Right, I feel like that's a fair question. So Jaren Hall is going to start against the Packers, likely going to start against the Lions and any potential playoff games. But, I mean, Jaren Hall, I like a lot. I think that there's a lot of upside to him. And again, people, I feel like too many people be like, well, you hype up everyone, blah, blah, blah. No, we choose to see the positives and what a player can do versus what they can't do. I mean, there's positives with Dobbs, it's positive with Mullins, but then the negatives outweighed the positives. With Jaren Hall, the reason he fell in the draft, I mean, it's sort of like why Ivan Pace Jr. went undrafted, despite great production and traits. I mean, too many players or too many teams just take players off the board because they don't check the boxes. Jaren Hall is short. Jaren Hall is has a limited track record, and well, been started for 2.5 years, whatever. And also, Jaren Hall, he is older, a prospect at 25. Right. So what is Jaren Hall going to be? Is he going to be just a long-term project? Is he a guy that who can be the guy, or is he going to be a dude that you like to have around as like a decent high-end veteran backup? Which, frankly, for a 5th-round pick, kind of be okay. But I love his deep ball. I love his accuracy. I love that he operates the offense in rhythm, and I actually think that Jaren Hall could be a little something, and we're going to find out these next 2 games. Also, let's not discount that, hey, Jaren Hall can completely light up the Packers as well as the Lions Week 18, because remember, Nick Mullins, despite 4 interceptions, put up 24 points on the Lions. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Jaren Hall looks really, really good these last 2 games, and, I mean, maybe Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, who drafted Jaren Hall, by the way, and maybe the fan base is all of a sudden like, we're all in. He's the guy, F Kirk, F your mom, F your face, we're all in with the Mormon missile. It's possible, man. Or does Jaren Hall prove that he's not the guy and that the Vikings need to make quarterback a higher priority in the draft that already is? I think it should be high. And even if Jaren Hall looks good, even if they re-sign Kirk, which I think is probably going to happen, I still think that they should draft a quarterback. This is team draft a quarterback every single year, man. Next up, number 2, can Oliver and Mundt replace Hockenson? Now, Kevin O'Connell talked about this a little bit on Friday, and also he really hyped up Johnny Mundt. And I feel like Oliver's role is pretty defined. Like, Oliver is the blocking tight end. Oliver is an outlet tight end, and he's going to be in 12 personnel. I actually do think that in a 2-minute drill, it's going to be Mundt versus Josh Oliver. Mundt, a little bit better track record as a receiver in the NFL. Although, remember, Josh Oliver came out of San Jose State. He was a receiving tight end. But, I mean, he added some weight, and he became the best blocking tight end in the game. So there you go. But Mundt, who goes way back like chiroprac with Wes Phillips and Kevin O'Connell back to the Rams days. This year, Oliver has 19 catches for $165 and 2 touchdowns. Mundt, 8 for 75. But last year, Johnny Mundt put up 19 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown. And he was basically... He's basically tight end 1.5. So he's behind Irv Smith, except Irv got hurt. And then Hockenson came in, and Mundt did get a decent amount of work, the pride of Oregon. So, I mean, Hockenson was operating like a top 2, top 3 tight end. So that's a lot of production to replace. Also, will they have to replace his production at the start of next year? TBD if Hockenson's going to be ready for the 2024 season. But either way, especially with a rookie quarterback who, tight end over the middle is generally a rookie quarterback's best friend. Both of them are really going to have to step up their games those last 2. Next up, number 3, are JJ and Kirk a package deal? And we get criticized a lot for this because, well, JJ's a young quarterback and Kirk is blah, blah, blah. But we say this 17,000 times. Like, someone's throwing the ball to JJ as he's breaking these records through his first 4 years, right? And Jefferson, I think the money is there. If the Vikings were trying to shortchange Justin Jefferson, we would have heard that through the insiders and the media, because I think JJ's agent would have leaked that pretty easily. But I think that the holdup with JJ's contract is he wants to know who's going to be throwing him the ball. He doesn't want to waste his prime with question marks at quarterback. So whether it's Jaren Hall, whether it's rookie TBD, but I think that his number 1 option is Kirk. I really think it is. And Kirk, I mean, he hasn't really shown any signs of aging, and frankly, over the last year and a half, he's playing the best ball of his career with Kevin O'Connell, and I actually do think that in a weird way, his injury could lead to a discount for the Vikings, and I think that it's part and parcel, where if Kirk signs, say, a 2-year deal with 1 year guaranteed, and then JJ's on board with that, then I think all of a sudden JJ signs that mega extension, right? So I do think that they are, to a degree, a package deal, and we're going to find that out. Next up, number 4. Can Tai Chandler be the true RB1? Now, Madison is off the injury report, and he's back. We'll see what Kevin O'Connell wants to do. But, I mean, how can you just keep ignoring Tai Chandler's production, both in the running game, both as a receiver, as well as people say, like, oh, well, he's on the field because he's not a good pass blocker. He's solid. He's really damn good, man. 4.9 yards per touch this season, 467 scrimmage yards, 3 touchdowns. And also, with the rookie quarterback, you're going to want to run the ball quite a bit and also have play action be viable. And Chandler, I love Alexander Madison to death. I think that he's a solid all-around running back. Was he better as Dalvin Cook's backup? Probably. Yes, but Tai Chandler just has that extra gear where he can hit a home run every time he touches the football. And I think that is really damn important, man. Next up, number 5. Should KJ Osborne be back? Now, KJ had a big-time opportunity this year with Thielen gone. A lot of wide receiver 2 looks were up in the air, but Addison came in right away and prove that he is that guy. So it is going to be JJ and Addison as your 1A, 1B going forward. But, I mean, KJ still has a lot of utility, man. And he's got 46 catches this year for 531 yards and 3 touchdowns on 71 targets. Those numbers are all down from last year, but his role has also been reduced. And it's a little bit disappointing because, I mean, JJ missed 7.5 games and looking for other guys to step up. But also, I mean, quarterback play has been up in the air too. Like, the passing game wasn't very efficient under Dobbs, and it was sort of whatever with Mullins. But KJ still has 28 first downs this year. So he's even though he's got limited work, he does get it done in the clutch. And I would love to have KJ back on a cheap veteran deal since he is in a contract year. But I mean, if another team wants to give KJ, $5-6 million per year, I mean, hats off to him. Go get your bag, man. That's just the you being the you. But I would love to have KJ back as a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 next year if the price is indeed right. Next up, number 6. Should Kevin O'Connell continue calling plays? And I understand that Kevin O'Connell is learning on the fly, and but he's also learning to be a head coach as well as an offensive play caller on the fly, since he didn't consistently call plays with the Rams or in Washington. But I think O'Connell, he's been solid at scripting, but in-flow play calling, especially end of game, especially in high leverage situations, been a little bit questionable, right? And I think it's a spot where O'Connell has enough humility that this offseason, I think they'll take a look at everything. Whether it's a spot where he should pass off some more responsibility to Wes Phillips or offensive coordinator TBD, or if he should just stay the course. And again, a lot of it has to do with injuries this year. They're really putting things behind the 8 ball, but also, I mean, the end of game play calling against the Broncos and the entire game plan against the Bears, as well as the end of the game against the Bengals, doesn't matter who's under center. There were mistakes made, and Kevin O'Connell has to bear a large part of blame for those close losses, which it would be nice to have any one of them back right now. But, next up, number 7. Will the Vikings pay Danielle Hunter? Now, Danielle has a no-tag clause in his revised contract, so the Vikings, they either have to re-sign him or they get nada, because this isn't the NBA. There isn't going to be a sign-and-trade deal, but Danielle, 15.5 sacks, also leading the league in tackles for loss. He's going to be 30 in October, but premium player, premium position in his prime. Right, and I think that Danielle probably has 3-4 more years of top-end production, and it's going to be expensive. It's probably going to be $23-25 million per year. And also, you do have other mouths to feed, especially if you do bring back Kirk. You got JJ. Darisaw is going to be eligible for an extension. Guys like DJ Wanham has earned a couple of shekels as well. Would love to have him back as a secondary, tertiary pass rusher. But the big thing is Daniil has proven that he's scheme agnostic. He has thrived under Flores. He led the team last year in sacks under Donishell, as well as obviously he was great with the Zimmer regime. So he can play in any scheme. He's team first. He plays the run. He'll get sacks. He'll generate pressure, and he'll make things easier for everyone else. But will the Vikings pay it? I hope that they do. And again, Kwesi, cut his teeth in San Francisco when they drafted Bosa. He was there in Cleveland when they had Myles Garrett, so he understands the value of having a talisman edge rusher who can be elite on the edge. Next up, number 8, can Caleb Evans be elite? So I think of Caleb Evans, who got benched against the Lions, but he is going to be back, Flores said. I do think that Caleb Evans, with his size, with his length, with his mentality, I think that he does have all the tools to be a Pro Bowl caliber cornerback, but it's been sort of spotty this year. His PFF grade is 62.6, which is just above average. 58 tackles, 7 passes broken up, 3 forced fumbles. His first interception should have had 2. Should have had that one against the Chargers, which... But 100.7 quarterback rating when thrown at, 4 penalties, 3 touchdowns allowed. I just feel like he's insanely good as a run defender. I think his run defense and his nose for the football is as good as Antoine Winfield Sr. And that's praise I don't dole out just all willy-nilly. Twan was one of my favorite players. But Evans... I don't know. I feel like coverage can get spotty at times. I don't know if that's just him. I don't know if that's lack of pass rush at times this year outside of Daniil. I don't know if that's scheme. I don't know what it is. But either way, it is year 2. Yes, he was a 4th-round pick out of Mizzou by way of Tulsa. But I think that it's a spot where people think that the media is picking on him. It's not that. It's that I see that there's so much potential with Evans that you want more. You want him to realize it. I think that he could be a hell of a player going forward. We just got to see it. Next up, number 9. What's the plan if Flores leaves? So Brian Flores has completely transformed this defense. And even though it's been a little bit rough, the last 5 quarters and overtime against the Bengals and the Lions, it sort of is what it is. But, the defense in the middle of the season was a big reason why the Vikings got hot and got themselves on a winning streak. But the question is, if Flores does leave for a head coaching job, what's going to happen? Is it going to be outside hire TBD, or guys on staff like linebackers coach Mike Saravo or DB coach Durante Jones? Are they ready to step on up? Now, Jones does have DC experience. He took over LSU for a hot second a couple years ago. That's a bridge that we'll cross when we get to it. But even though there's going to be probably a record number of head coaching openings, like we said with Flores, I don't think he takes a job just to take a job. I think it's got to be the right spot. And it's clear that he enjoys working with this personnel and this unit. Flores and Kevin O'Connell seem to have a very good working relationship, even though Kevin O'Connell doesn't call timeouts when Flores says, call timeout. But selfishly, I would love if Flores is here next year. But obviously, he deserves to be a head coach again in this league. But either way, they got to build on what Flores has started this season. If he's here, if he's not, whatever. Next up, or lastly, number 10. This one's tough. Is this it for Harrison Smith? Now, remember, in the offseason, Harrison Smith took a significant pay cut from around $14 million down to about $7.5 million. He is going to be 35, and he has a $14.45 million base salary in 2024. If he is back, it's going to have another huge pay cut again. But this season, 85 tackles, 3 sacks, all of them against the Panthers, as well as 3 forced fumbles. And also, Harrison... I'll love Harrison forever. He's a future Vikings Ring of Honor guy, and in my mind, he's a Hall of Famer. But could you say that he's pretty easily the 3rd best safety on this team this year? Yes. I think Metellus and Beasley have risen their game up this far. And it's not that Harrison has completely fallen off, but he's just not at the level that he used to be. And, there's times, especially in the Lions game where, some misdiagnosis of running plays, some missed tackles, and it's just, I don't know. Like, I love Harrison Smith. I think that his leadership is invaluable. Him leading by example is huge. But it's a spot where if he's back, it's going to have to be at a very significant pay cut again. As well as, let's not forget the Viking safety room is probably their deepest position because you got Beasley playing like a Pro Bowler. Same thing with Metellus. Harrison is still there. Theo Jackson, even though he got hurt, is playing some high-end special teams. Same thing with Jay Ward and also Lewisine. Lewisine is also in there. And we said before, I think Lewisine was drafted to be the eventual replacement for Harrison Smith. But, of course, the broken leg delayed things. So could that plan come into fruition in 2024? Like, say, Brian Flores is back and the multiple safety scheme is still in place. Is it going to be Beasley, Metellus, and Scene versus Beasley, Metellus, and Harrison? Well, we'll see. But that's it. Tan. Burning questions for the Minnesota Fine Vikings as a right meow. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.